Darren Elkins versus Eduardo Garagorri. We got minus 210 on the damage and plus 175 on Garagorri. And on first look, when I saw this fight announced, or at least when I saw the odds come out, I'm like, minus 200 or better for Elkins, or minus 200 or worse for Elkins is a little bit of a head scratcher. You know, you don't really expect him to go out there and be a favorite, or at least a super heavy favorite against pretty much anybody in the UFC. But once you really start to dig into the tape, then you really start to understand it. So let's start off with Darren Elkins, though. He is coming off a four-fight losing streak. That is obviously a career worst run for him. There was a point in time where he put together a solid amount of victories. Robert Whiteford, Chas Skelly, Godofredo Pepe, Mirsad Bektic, Dennis Bermudez, Michael Johnson. 6 straight fights, 6 straight victories with 2 finishes mixed in there. And now he's gone on a 4-fight skid to Alexander Volkanovski. You can't really blame him for that. Hence, Alexander Volkanovski being the champion. Ricardo Lamos, that was a tough fight for Darren Elkins where he was just pretty much out outworked in every single aspect of that fight and every single skill. Ryan Hall, we obviously know the wizard that Ryan Hall is, and then Nate Landwehr, who was willing to go to war with Darren Elkins, and he just showed that he was a faster fighter, had the better output, had the better shots, and again had the better power at the end of the day, which allowed for way more damage on Darren Elkins than on Nate Landwehr. So that was a fun fight to watch, super super bloody. But it showed us that Darren Elkins is his durability is still there. Like he ate some shots from Nate Landwehr, but was still cheering and running forward and was still fully in the fight. I think that might scare a guy like Eduardo Garagorri, who hasn't really come across a guy like Darren Elkins before, But when it really comes to the actual skill set of each guy here, I think the one thing that's glaring on Eduardo's side is his lack of takedown defense, and that's why everybody seems so heavy on Darren Elkins here. And I completely understand it after running the tape now. We saw Humberto Bandone, who's primarily a striker, go out there and try to take down a Garagorri, and he was successful in it. But I think that we'll see better top pressure and at least more consistent takedown attempts from Darren Elkins than we saw from Bandone. Hence why Eduardo Garagorri was able to keep that fight on the feet for the majority of it and do some solid damage from there. We saw Ricardo Ramos go out there, get the takedown, get the rear naked choke, and that's as simple as that. But even when you go back into earlier fights for Garagorri, yeah, he's getting victories and he's undefeated on the regional scene. But you do see when he's challenged in those grappling realms, he's a little bit more, he's not responding as well. Yeah, he has a couple of rear naked choke victories over some of these guys. But he's fighting guys with a lot of sketchy records as well. So when he's pulling off, rear naked chokes against guys that are like 6-15, you kind of understand what the hell is up. The concern here is like what I saw in the Bandonai fight, what I saw in the Carl Ramos fight, is his lack of ability to really, he's looking to strike to defend rather than actually like digging underhooks and doing those simple technical things to get out of these bad situations. He's still training down there in Uruguay, it seems, doesn't really go out there and look for other things. Going through his Instagram page, the only time he's really made a trek out, or at least showcased that he's made a trek out to a top gym, was back in 2017 when we saw him have a couple pictures down there at Novo União. I'm not sure if he's really traveled to the States and try to get like workout there, but it seems like he's okay with, sticking in his home base down in Uruguay. And I think that's a problem. You need to expand the variety of looks that you're getting, the type of advice that you're getting, the head coaches that you're working with. You really need to go out there and do that, especially at this high level in the MMA world. And I think this might be the rude awakening for him against Darren Elkins, where, most guys should go out there and be able to beat Darren Elkins at this point in his career, especially an up-and-comer like Eduardo Garagorri. But I think he's going to see that the takedowns are going to be a little bit too much. The cardio is always going to be there for Darren Elkins, and the heart is always going to be there for Elkins. My concern is if, this is the day that it just like that catches up with him, Garagorri lands a bomb and just puts out Elkins with one shot. I don't think that's going to happen. Elkins is hittable, but he's going to have to be sure to cut the distance right away and start putting this fight into the grappling realm, because that's definitely where he's going to have the advantage. So I like Elkins here. I don't mind him at the minus 200 range. Possible parlay piece if you don't want to play him straight up, but he should definitely cruise here in terms of, out grappling Garagorri. Outside of, getting his back taken or like getting subbed that way, I just don't see Elkins finding himself in those positions. So I do like Elkins to win this fight. I think he will have the better of the grappling exchanges. And that's what it's going to come down to. It's just a speed advantage that Garagorri will have here and possible power advantage too that makes me a little bit skeptical about Elkins. Outside of that, though, I think Elkins should be able to drown Garagorri here and continuously take him down and just work from on top. So I'm going with Elkins to win this fight via decision, and the minus 200 line sounds about right. So once again, Darren Elkins via decision.